Good afternoon, YouTube. It's been about 8 years since the last Ranger rolled off the factory floor. But during that time gap, there must have been a lot of pent-up demand considering just how many of you have been clamoring for us to check out this all-new version. Well, we finally got our hands on one, which is no small task given how quickly they've been selling. So we're happy to be out here at Jack Kane Ford with this fully loaded Ranger Lariat. And of course, if you're in the market for any new Ford, be sure to stop by their dealership or visit them via their website, which we provided a link to in the video description. So with Ford back in the mid-size game, let's find out if Toyota and Chevy should be scared. Beginning things here on the outside, Ford has made the Ranger look nothing like the F-150, but handsome in its own right. That starts up front, where we have an aggressive design that is much less boxy than its big brother. Now of course the grille does change depending on the trim, as well as the packages chosen. So while this Lariat would normally have a chrome grille, we have the dark gray finish that comes with the Sport Appearance Package. The lower trims lose the bars in the middle, and for your XLT it will be traced in silver, while it will be fully black on the base XL. The bumper would also be body color on XLT and Lariat, but again that Sport package adds the extra contrast. Now turning over to the headlights, unlike much of the competition, we've got LEDs here on the Lariat. That goes for both the low and high beams, as well as the daytime running lights, but of course the lower trims do come with halogens. Additionally, you will find fog lights on most Rangers. So for those of you who don't already know, this Ranger has been on sale in other countries for several years now. But to me, the site is the only place where I see much of a resemblance to the international version. Now as far as the cab and bed configurations are concerned, Ford keeps it simple. You either get the Super Cab with the long 6-foot bed, or you get this SuperCrew with the short 5-foot bed. And then moving around to the back, this is where it looks the most similar to the F-150, since it has Ranger stamped into the tailgate, as well as really premium looking full LED taillights. So overall, Ford has done a great job with this exterior. It manages to look both rugged and upscale, which is a combination that most of the rivals have struggled with. Just like the grille and bumpers, these 17-inch wheels come with the same dark gray finish with the Sport package. Without that package, you actually find larger 18-inch contrast alloys as the standard option for Lariat. Going down a rung, XLT gets you 17-inch alloys that look like a miniaturized version of the F-150 Platinums, and then the XL starts off with 16-inch steel wheels. Coming up to the mirrors, they are power adjusting on the XLT, but you will still have to go up to the Lariat if you want to add body color, heating, power folding, or blind spot monitoring. Now that system is included as part of Ford's Copilot 360 safety system package, which also includes automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection, lane keeping assist, and auto high beam headlights. This grouping is standard on XLT and Lariat, plus adaptive cruise control can be added via the technology package. Now heading back around to the rear, let's talk towing. Since all Rangers come with the same engine, the max tow rating is 7,500 pounds across the lineup when you select the trailer tow package. This does exceed both the Tacoma and Colorado. As far as the bed is concerned, it is quite large with plenty of tie downs, though you will be missing the easy lowering tailgate and power outlets that some of the rivals have. And finally, we'll end things here at the 18-gallon fuel tank. While it is smaller than what most of the competition gives you, the excellent fuel economy actually gives it a better fuel range of 414 miles with two-wheel drive. But anyways, that's everything to look at for the exterior. So now let's see if Ford has set the new benchmark for midsize cabins. So on the new Ranger, you're going to find Ford Smart Entry System standard on the Lariat trim. However, remote start is optional on both the Lariat and the XLT. Of course, like all other Fords, to get inside the vehicle, all you have to do is just grab the handle. Alrighty, so checking out the cabin of the all-new Ranger. As you can see, this has a totally distinct look from the F-150. Now, of course, like all trucks, there are a ton of different material and color combinations you can get. So starting out on your base XL trim, you've got your choice between cloth or vinyl seating, but you'll only have the color option of black. And then going up to the XLT, you get premium cloth seating in ebony or medium stone. Finally, when you go up to the Lariat, like this model, you do get the leather seating, and that comes in ebony or medium stone colors as well. Now turning over here to your door trim, it is pretty nicely appointed. On the Lariat, we do have a leatherette material with a nice stitching detail for your armrest, as well as above it, but this top part is hard touch. Now as far as the window controls, the driver's window is one-touch automatic. And then coming down here to the seat, you do have the 8-way power seat here on the Lariat, and it is also available on the XLT. And as you can see, you do have the power sliding as well as 2-way power lumbar support. But, like the Chevy Colorado and GMC Canyon, the actual back portion is still manually adjusting. On the lower trims, it is 4-way manual adjusting. Now checking out the actual seating material itself, like I said, this is leather trimmed. And on the Lariat, we do have a really nice stitching detail, as well as a Ranger embossed into this part here. Also in this particular model, we do have the running boards, which definitely helps getting in to be a lot easier. So like I was already saying, the Ranger's interior really doesn't look anything like the F-150s at all. But at least as far as the materials are concerned, there's not a real big decrease. So across your upper dash here on the Lariat trim, we've got more of that soft touch plastic with a really nice authentic stitching detail. Now this would be hard touch on the lower trims. And then the same kind of goes for this area as well. This changes depending on the trim level. So only the Lariat gets the gray finish, whereas the lower trims get a silver finish or a full black finish. And as far as the lower areas, they are all hard touch. However, that's to be expected in this class, and everything fits together with a really, really solid feel. Now to start the Ranger, if you have the Lariat trim, just press the button. When you do, you will see an 8-inch display fire up here on the Lariat. This is also available in the 301A package for the XLT. Now looking over here at the gauges, this is the fancier arrangement, and this comes on the Lariat only. And you do basically have two multifunction displays on both sides of a traditional speedometer. So each side of the steering wheel has some corresponding buttons, so you can just cycle through various things like your digital speedometer, and of course if you want to have a more traditional look, you can still pull up a tachometer there. And then on this side you've mostly got things related to media, so you've got your entertainment functions like your audio, as well as your navigation and your phone controls. Now heading back here to the steering wheel, we do have electric power steering, and you will find a nice leather wrapped wheel on the 301A XLT and standard on the Lariat. Just like the actual dashboard, depending on which model you choose, you have a different type of trim through here, so of course on the Lariat it is dark gray. Like I was mentioning, these sets of buttons correspond with the two displays. And then on our particular model, we do have adaptive cruise control, that came in the optional technology package, which is available on both XLT and Lariat. As far as the wheel itself, it is manually tilt and telescoping, though it is not heated. And I do also want to mention that we have the optional rain sensing wipers, which come in the 501A package on the Lariat. Now moving on to the important topic of storage, the Ranger definitely has plenty, despite it being a relatively small truck. So starting out over here at your center console, initially it doesn't look too big. However, once you reach your hand in there, you realize it's very, very deep, and it actually goes in past this piece, which just sits up here. This part is not actually removable, even though it looks like it is. And then in front of that, we've got 2 cup holders, as well as another really, really large and deep bin here. And as you can see, that also contains 2 USB ports, as well as 2 12-volt outlets. But you're not going to find any wireless charging like we see in the Tacoma that we were just in last week. But anyways, coming back here to the shifter, it is a nice traditional shifter. So you can pull back for drive, and then you can go back once more into a sport mode where you can shift manually with these toggles. Going into reverse, of course you will find a standard backup camera. And we do also have active trajectory, as well as parking sensors in the front and in the rear for the Lariat. And then like the Tacoma, we do have a traditional handbrake. Now next to the shifter, you will find this knob. It's just a very simple knob to control your different 4-wheel drive settings. And then in front of that, you're going to find several different buttons. Basically, this one just activates your trailering mode. This big button with the A turns on and off your auto start stop system. This one defeats your parking sensors, and this one defeats your traction control. Alright, so now moving on to the climate control. As you can see, we've got the dual zone automatic setup. It does come standard on the Lariat, or it is also available on the XLT through the 301A package. But as you can see, it is very simple to use. You can just press the auto button, and you can control most of the functions here through these different toggles. However, a few of the functions you do have to control up here in the display through the climate section, like your different zones, for example. And you can control everything else up here if you prefer, for whatever reason. And then as far as your heated seats, these of course are also standard on the Lariat, but you will have to get the 302A to get them on the XLT. But anyways, now that brings us up here to our audio system. Now the Ranger does come standard with a 6-speaker sound system across all of the different trim levels. However, here on the Lariat 501A package, we do have the optional Bang & Olufsen 10-speaker sound system. So let's go ahead and take a listen to that. I'm very impressed by this sound system. Honestly, this has got to be the best sound system I've heard in one of these small trucks. But anyways, now that brings us up here to our Sync 3 system, so let's go ahead and take a quick look. Now we're on a bit of a time crunch today, so I'm just going to real quickly go through a few of these features. Of course, this is the same Sync 3 version that has been in all Ford products for several years now. So you've got your home screen, then you can just click into different items to expand them. Coming into the navigation part, the integrated navigation system is optional via the technology package on both the XLT and the Lariat. But even if you don't get this system, you still have both Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and that's standard so long as you have the 8-inch display versus the little small non-touch display. And last thing I want to mention is that you do have the 4G Wi-Fi hotspot that comes here in your Ford Pass Connect. And when you click on that, this is where you'll find your password and be able to turn it on and off and monitor your data usage and whatnot. But anyways, that's the main gist of the Sync 3 system. However, we do have a much more detailed tech help video available for those of you who want to learn more. A link to that will be provided in the video description. Now moving on up to the mirror, it is auto dimming here on the Lariat, and just like a lot of features in this vehicle, it is also available on the XLT. And to go along with that, you do have your 3 universal remotes. Now, somewhat interestingly, a moonroof is actually not available on any version of the Ranger. However, you cannot get a moonroof on the Colorado or the Canyon either, so it's not exactly a problem for the class, I guess you could say. But overall, I quite like the cabin of the new Ranger. It's definitely got a refined feeling in here, especially here on this Lariat trim. And overall, it's just a lot different than what the Ranger used to be. But this is definitely the direction that the class is moving in. But anyways, now I'll go ahead and hand it off to Mason, who will finish up the rest of the cabin. In the back of the all-new 2019 Ford Ranger double cab, you're going to find a large amount of space compared to its rivals. It's technically rated at 34.5 inches of rear legroom and 38.3 inches of rear headroom, which does make it larger than the Toyota Tacoma. Now turning over here to the door trim, it is really nice for a pickup truck. So you do have leatherette where your armor rests, as well as an area above it, and you do have a nice silver door handle. Now below that, since this is a pickup truck, you do have plenty of door storage, so you have a bottle holder, as well as a little storage cubby. Now the seats themselves are a really nice design. They have stitching details all the way through them, and they are very, very comfortable. And to get in, just use a standard running boards. Now in the center, the Ranger is equipped nicer than most in the class. So down here in the center area, you do have a little storage area. And down below that, you do have 2 smart charging USB ports, as well as a household style outlet, which is really nice because the Toyota Tacoma I was just in didn't have any connections at all back here. Now you do also have a center armrest. It does fold down nicely, and it is leather wrapped, and has some cup holders in the end. In addition to that, your rear window is manual sliding, so you can just push this little lever and slide it right out of the way. Up top, we do have some LED dome lighting, a really nice headliner, and an assist grip and coat hook. So like I mentioned, the Ranger is bigger than most of its rivals, so even with the seat scooted all the way back, I still have probably 4 to 5 inches of rear leg room, and my feet can easily slide up under the seat. But overall, I'm extremely impressed by the Ranger's rear seat. Like I said, most in the class don't really give you very many features, and this rear seat is not, in addition to being spacious, it also has plenty of luxury features, and it feels just like a baby F-150. It's definitely a great thing. Now, like I mentioned on the other side, the seats do fold up, so all you have to do is locate this little strap down here by the floor and pull on it, and it will fold right up. And once you do, you will notice that it does fold in one piece, and under the seats you do have plenty of storage. So you have this bin right here, which is probably 6 to 8 inches deep. You fit a lot of stuff down here, and it's also hidden from view, so if you have anything valuable, you can put it back here. And on this side, you have the same thing, just a little smaller. And to fold it back down, just grab this little strap again, and it folds right back down. Now, in addition to that, you can also fold the rear seat backs. So grab this little strap, and they do fold all the way down. And it doesn't look like there's much storage back there, but this is an option if you need that extra capability.
Now we will talk about the pricing of this particular Ranger in just a minute. And over here on the passenger side, we do have the same lovely seat with Ranger embossing, as well as a nice stitching detail. And it is also power adjusting on this loaded Lariat model. On the other trims, it would be manual. Now in front of the passenger, we do have impressive material. So we have this trim piece here, as well as a stitched and padded dashboard. Now down below that, we do have a glove box. It is nicely dampened, and as you can see, once you get inside, there is plenty of space. Now up top, we do have a sun visor with mirror and light, and it does also detach, and it does have an extension. But anyway, guys, that pretty much sums up all of the rear areas of the Ranger. So now let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain.
Alrighty, so let's go ahead and talk a bit about the powertrain options. Now, the Ford Ranger does things a little bit different from most of the rivals, actually quite a bit different. Ford does not do 2 tiers. Most of them offer a basic 4-cylinder and then an upgraded V6. Ford actually splits the difference, and they go with a turbo 4-cylinder across all the trims. It is a 2.3 liter EcoBoost, 270 horsepower, and a 310 pound-feet of torque, which is definitely more in line with the upper engines of the rivals. But of course you get this on the base model as well. Ford also includes a 10-speed automatic, and you can get 2 or 4-wheel drive, of course. And then for your fuel economy, Ford really does well here. It's class leading against all the engines, regardless if it's the base or the upgraded engine, and it even beats the Colorado and Canyon diesel engines. The rating actual numbers are 21 city, 26 highway, 23 combined for the 4x2, and then 20 city, 24 highway, 22 combined for the 4x4.
And that's especially impressive because it does have pretty much more power than all of the rivals as well.
That is correct. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to be driving the Ranger today. This is a sold unit. We were told by the dealer that there won't be sellable units here at this dealer until March. So we decided to definitely come on in here and give you all a look at this vehicle, even though this is already owned by somebody.
Yeah, he's going to be picking it up tomorrow morning. So
yes, very shortly as well.
So with the all-new Ranger, you do have a pretty class-competitive price scaling. So it starts out at $24,300 for the XL Super Cab. And then as you move up the trims, you have the XLT, which goes up to $27,940. And then you have the Lariat, which is the top trim, and that is $32,210. Now if you want to upgrade to the full 4-door SuperCrew model, it is going to cost you around $2,200 across all of the trims, and then 4-wheel drive is going to be another additional charge on top of that. Now as far as how this particular Ranger is equipped, this is a fully loaded, basically fully loaded Ranger. So this is the top-end Lariat model with the 4 doors. Now we do have the optional 501A group, which adds an $1,800 charge to that. And we also have running boards on the outside for $600, as well as the Sport Appearance Package for $900. And all told, that plus the $1,095 destination charge, this particular model comes in at $42,800.
Which, as Mason said, is just about the maximum price that you can pay for the 2019 Ranger.
Well guys, we hope you enjoyed watching one of the first in-depth looks at the 2019 Ford Ranger Lariat. Be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons if you enjoyed, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.
Mm-hmm.